Welcome to JustCallJeff.com. I'm Jeff. Today I'm discussing our commercial debt workout and consulting services. Why would a company require our services? It could be economics, the economy, or a general downturn in a particular business venture or cycle, industry group. But before laying blame to the economy, we should first take a look at what the company did or didn't do in anticipation of future down cycles. Could be any number of things, from top-heavy management to poor planning, pursuit of an opportunity that didn't pan out and they haven't confronted that yet. Any number of things could have been the cause or the ailment of the business. We just have to take a look at that. What to do and how can we help? If you're a manager, president, officer, director, member, or board member of a company and you're willing to do anything it takes to reverse your fortunes, we can probably help. First thing we have to do is have a brief discussion about the business and decide, do we want to go forward? Prior to getting any sensitive material, I would suggest a non-disclosure agreement, referred to as an NDA, so that all items of a confidential nature are kept secret. Then we get to the heart of the company. First thing we need to do is determine what the company really does well. Enforce and continue doing that, and suspend potentially anything the company hasn't done well with. Any endeavor or joint venture that's been a loser, maybe we want to terminate that. We take a look at that. Next thing we need to do is determine the burn rate or the cost to stay in business until the business can remain, again, profitable. And what steps need to be taken in order to accomplish that. That we look at the debt situation, the compensation arrangements. Significant changes are likely to have to occur. Aggressive steps may need to be taken to survive. These could include layoffs, debt restructuring, termination, a full-blown Chapter 11 bankruptcy to stave off loss of the business with foreclosure actions, repossession actions, any number of things. Legal assistance may need to be incorporated and very likely will need to be in that case. Establishing your future. That's a broad subject, but in order to do that, we have to have had a look at all your financing, your debts, your ventures, what you do well. Once we've assembled all that and had a look at the whole picture, within probably a week's time or less, we can determine if your company has a future and what its survival cost will be. What steps need to be taken to assure survival. Let's discuss debt restructuring. This is something that's always best handled by an agent who can talk the talk with lenders and creditors. When dealing with a rated or delinquent corporate debt, company debt, there's often a change in administration. The person assigned to your account when you made the loan is usually fired and moved on, and you're dealing with a new person. So me as an agent, when I go in to negotiate something, the natural finger pointing is obvious. When I'm trying to sell your debt restructuring plan to a lender, the correspondent or counterpart I'm working with at the bank or credit company can simply say, I didn't make this loan, but here's the solution, and they've got a good organized plan of attack, and they're going to be able to pay us, but at a reduced level. So it's important that be the dynamic. An agent acts as the go-between between the company and the bank. Can you accomplish debt restructuring on your own without an agent or through your lawyer? Absolutely you can. You might find the experience uncomfortable having borrowed the money and now somehow, for whatever reason, you either can't pay or don't want to pay. The dynamic there is unusual and often better communicated by an agent. On the other hand, you could have a lawyer do it. In my experience, though, with banks, is they would prefer to deal with an agent than a delinquent borrower or a lawyer, because they can feel a sense of freedom and it somewhat creates a good guy, bad guy role. They'll say things to me they wouldn't say directly to you, and I can get to the real motivation on the part of the lender, whereas they're very rigid and defensive if you send a lawyer in to talk to them. Another thing I discourage a lot is threatening the lender. Right now, the lenders sometimes are on the verge of collapse themselves. So if you go in with an honest, thought-out business plan and a way you can actually give them the money you're offering them and deliver the money when you say you'll pay them, we can get the plan done. But it has to be intelligent and without a lot of threats and saber rattling like lawyers tend to do. Now let's talk about exit strategy. That's to say, finding a way to get financing to pay the bank we're negotiating with, or to satisfy a disgruntled creditor or shareholder group. Any number of circumstances must have a vehicle or way out. That said, part of that process is establishing a good business plan. Many times we can't pay the people that are demanding money, so we have to be convincing when we say you've got to wait to allay any legal actions and have a calm environment to deal within. As a businessman, you don't need stress. My job is to reduce your stress by insulating you from the problems you have in life as a businessman. Let me touch a bit more on the business plan. Having completed an analysis, if we're engaged, we know what the business does well. We've become a team essentially. So what we need to do is identify our opponents, whether they're creditors, investors, shareholders, or just straight lenders. We have to satisfy each of those factors by having a good business plan and a plan of attack, a way of generating money they're going to need, and that can be done in a number of ways. If you're a public company, we could issue shares of stock in an offering of some sort to raise some cash. Often, and one of my best tricks is to use common stock in lieu of cash to settle the odd debts here and there. If you can clean up your balance statement by issuing stock, the loans become assets rather than liabilities. It's a positive move, and it doesn't cost the company anything except a little dilution. So being public is a key. Now, let's look at the fact that investors want a way out. So, for example, if you need to come up with money or you need to pay an investor or a lender and they're not certain of the company's future, perhaps a public vehicle would be in order, where we can literally acquire a trading shell, issue stock instead of notes, and the lenders, after a required holding period of 6 to 24 months, can actually get liquidity and get out, i.e. the exit strategy. Why are we so good? That's very simple. You're the one stamping out all the fires. We're not. We can take an objective and sometimes subjective view at what's causing the fires to begin with, without the burden of having to put them out. Can you handle a restructure? Sound like a funny question? It's not so funny when dealing with a business whose owner is doomed to failure and will not do what's necessary to see to his survival. Again, if you're willing to do anything it takes, and that's most important, anything it takes to survive, we can help. Our fees for doing all these good things? Generally, we get equity participation, cash compensation, we finance some of our fees, but overall, for discounting debts, we charge 20% of the discount we obtain due when we obtain the discount and a modification is entered into. As a business might be in trouble, oftentimes we're in for the long haul. Especially in a public offering, we're going to want stock in the company. So we're going to be there in the long run. So what plans we make, what business plans we establish, what survival actions we put in place, we're there with you, and we want to be there with you long term. I want to thank you for visiting justcalljeff.com. Feel free to call or email us anytime, and be sure to watch our blogs as they change continually. More to follow. Thank you again for visiting.